We're live. We're live on Instagram at least. Twitch, go fuck itself. This is episode 1. This is DeadAss NoCap, reporting for duty, reporting for booty. So, yeah, we are here to talk not about legit cheesy movies, Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction, Falling Down. These movies are what I've also been watching. The Game, Michael fucking Douglas, fucking, asshole extraordinaire. Out-asshole Charlie Sheen in that one movie about the walls and the streets. So check the levels. This is episode 1, we're moving through it. What we're really talking about today is Tubi movies. Tubi is my safe haven because Netflix sucks. Netflix is like the Spotify of movies, except they don't do a Netflix Wrapped where they, make you seem like you're educational and watching fucking, Alexander Payne movies or whatever the fuck. So yeah, here we are. We're talking about Tubi because that's the only subscription service that I don't pay for because nobody pays for it. Honestly, I don't know how they make money. Do they have a Keurig machine? What do they do when they go in the morning? Do they commission movies that we're about to talk to today? So there's 3 movies so far, and we'll probably go through them one by one on different episodes. But the first one, I gotta talk about a good man, a good man, because I just really watched this today, a couple hours ago, an hour and a half ago. Really, all right, I finished it at like 9:45. That is 30 minutes ago, and honestly, the ending. DeadAss NoCap, the spoilers of the 3rd act. Bruh, you need to watch this, pause this shit, watch this fucking movie, and tell me this isn't the greatest fucking 3rd act of your life, because this dude just, unravels your boy Ethan. So, what happens in this movie, Ethan is an everyman. But he's, he's Ethan Carter, man. He's trying to, get, black people out of this whole, ghetto mentality. And he's trying to get them into the whole, generational wealth, the whole generational, success of black people. And, his, goals are really pure, and his mindset, it almost starts out with, it's your reality is your values and your mindset and everything, so he's a pure guy at heart. And he has a therapist, and then he's got a coworker who's bro, what you doing therapy? That's gay as shit. What the fuck? We should be fucking, the only therapy you need is fucking alcohol and pussy and weed and shit. And he's no, bro, I am serious. But they seem to make a lot of money at this place. It's a land investment thing where he's what I assume is he's doing is making overpriced apartment complexes with Five Guys and Starbucks and Smash Burgers and all that shit, just nestled into apartment things, or a fucking, whatever, a Pilates studio, whatever. So, he's doing all that shit. He's, shifting the land. And at the very end of the first scene, he's where should I go? I'm gonna go try that hibachi go, place, the fucking shitty, whatever, Asian takeout place or whatever. And he's I'm gonna go there. And so this is just all recap, right? So he's his girl's card gets declined, and he's I'm gonna save this girl fucking I'm gonna charge her meal on me. I'm gonna make him and then he invites her on a date, and he's why don't you fucking come on this date, I didn't tell you how to be dressing, but you be dressing all fucked up, you shouldn't be going to this place like this. So he's immediately kind of like telling her he's from a different little strata, and she's kind of a little ghetto, and you know, like they can each tell. And then there's of course the montage where he like buys her everything. He buys her the BMW or the Mercedes or whatever, you know, the fucking car with the bow on it, like just from the commercial, like they didn't fucking like, you know, they didn't even beat around the bush on that one. Like it was just like, you know, he's got the bow on it. It's like he went for the fucking Mercedes with the bow in front of his like mansion. He's 35, but he has a mansion somehow. And so he's like fucking, you know, he's been dating her for like 3 weeks, and he's spoiling her with like a car and like a fucking salon, and you know, of course, and he's like, she's in his house, like it was done. So it's like, so it's really set up to fail. And he has this like, there's this whole moment where his boy, like they're playing pool, and he's like, bro, you told he's like, you didn't fucking cry in front of her, right? You didn't tell about your ex. Like, you know what, I did. This whole reveal where he's just like, he's kind of a pussy, but he's also like, he's been through some shit, he's been cheated, you know, so he's been kind of like, he's already knows himself to fall into these patterns of these women, these trifling you know, candy ass bitches. And of course, like, you know, so she is obviously questionable. She's very much like, she's kind of hot, but she's ratchet the whole time, but also like, you know, there's the obvious scene where, you know, like, she's like, her coworker's like, hey, can you like just, well, you're getting some food, can you give me some food? She's like, I bet didn't you just eat? Like, and she's like, fucking, they're all sassy with each other. Then she like walks outside, and I'm assuming he was playing there. He was like hanging out, you know? So her ex-boyfriend is named Chaos with a K. It's like, his real name's Kevin, but his nickname is Chaos. And then there's this whole run where like the, what's his name? Eduardo, the main guy, I can't remember his name, but it doesn't matter. Ethan, or, you know, whatever. But he's just like, what are you, is he Chaos? Or it's like, Chaos is spelled C-H. Ain't no chaos with a K. And he like gets all like technical, and then so they have this whole run where just like, you know, and then you slowly realize they have this dynamic where she, unfortunately, you know, he is very insecure, and he's kind of a beta, he's a little bit of a square, and she's not used to it, but she also goes into this like defensive shit, and she'll like create these like scenarios where he's the fucked up one, or he's, you know, just like it doesn't matter what he sees, like it ain't going, you know, and she'll like question him, and she makes him feel like the fucked up one. Meanwhile, she and Chaos be texting. They be texting a lot. They be like, pew, pew. It's like those like on-screen ones, like, because the whole movie is narrated by this like, you know, the universe of the phone. It's like, we got the time, we got when people text us, when people light it up, you know, and it's just this whole thing of just waiting for the validation, you know, from the phone. Like, it's the big theme in the movie, right? And so basically she, you know, Chaos does that thing where he like calls her phone, and he like gets her number saved and all this shit. And like, he's like, clearly he's been hanging out outside of her salon, like waiting for her to like come back into his life, whatever. And so they start texting, and meanwhile, Eduardo or Edmundo, or he starts with an E, can't remember, doesn't matter. He is just like, whatever, bitch. And he starts drinking a lot, and he's like, well, we going out of town for business and all this shit, and so we gonna take a break. So he starts to put his foot down. Mad respect, dog. That actually made me happy when he was just like, you know what, fuck this. And he realized that his suspicions were not unfounded. She wasn't at the mall. She wasn't getting drinks. It was all these like weird signs, and he's just slowly learning what is going on. Who's up? Oh shit. Who dis? Hey, is that my family? What's up, Gabby? So yeah, we're still talking about this movie. So a good man. So he is a good man, and he basically by the second act they're fighting constantly. It's like he's already moved her into his mansion. Like his fucking relationship was really fast. But like it's like, and he like proposed on a boat. He's like, I forgot I had a boat because I just worked so hard. And then she's like, but you have a boat, oh my god. And she's like, and then of course, like, you know, she says she wants to marry him, but of course her friends are like, girl, do you really love him? And like they both have those like supporting characters who are like, are you sure about that, bro? You know, and so there's this whole like back and forth. It's amazing. And so it comes to the point where he's like, I'm gonna be out of town. To DC, we're gonna close the deal. And she's like, bet, you know, and like they're like kind of on a break. But then you know, of course, she has her side dude over. She's like, I'm gonna cook for him. She never cooked for her main guy, by the way. He was always cooking for her. He was doing everything. So they have this weird thing where like he goes out of town and she immediately brings the guy over and they fuck like for like 6 hours. They're like literally, it's like this whole thing where he's in the car and they're still fucking like, dude, they're just like gonna chill for a second. But then he arrives, and this is where it gets crazy because he's like crying. He hears the fucking moans outside the bed. And he's like, fuck, this is devastating. And then what happens next is the best. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to spoil it, and I don't give a fuck. Actually, I'm not sorry. Fuck you. So this man, he goes into fucking Dahmer mode. You know, he goes crazy. So he, you know, classic tape over the face, classic hands behind the back, fucking clothes off. Or their clothes were already off. You know, they were, you know, but, you know, so he is fucking ready. And he catches them off guard. He like either drug them or like pistol Glock them or, you know, pistol whip them. So they're fucking down. And then he basically creates oh wow, it's family night. What's up, Anthony, Maggie, Maddies? So he creates this like Saw-like scenario where he is torturing the fuck out of his fiance and her baby daddy. And guess what? It gets crazier. And he turns out to be the most like, because for the first 2/3 of the movie, you're like, oh, this guy's so boring. He sucks in bed. He's so like, he's such a square. He has no fucking balls. And then all of a sudden he just goes ape shit and fucking basically oh my god, yeah, he just, you know, it's insane. He, you know, he starts capping motherfuckers. He just like, you're like, oh, he's a murderer, and oh, he fucking, this is not anything new for him, but like, so he turned that pain into this fucking like, it was a switch or something, and it was like, oh, he's getting revenge, and he knew. And it's the same thing. I mean, but he that was the crazy part too. So I missed this one crucial detail where the boyfriend, K-Flay, K-Federline, Chaos, right? So Chaos went, he goes and schedules a meeting with Ethan Hawke, or whatever, Ethan Carter, whatever his name is, the main dude. And he's like, hey bro, like, I'm in construction, but like, real talk, I just got out of jail, man. I'm trying to support the wife and kids. And he like does this whole sob story where like, Ethan's like, bro, I got you. we're gonna give you this whole project, it's 70 grand, like we're gonna give you this money, like I got you. I wanna help people get back in the community. So he's like taking care of this dude. And meanwhile, when it comes down to it, when he's in the bedroom, he's like, yeah, you was only keeping the company for so he kinda knew. He fucking, he saw her picture on the desk during the meeting, so it's like he knew what he was doing. And that's, my friends, is what makes Tubi the best place for movies. Honestly, like this movie, and you know what, the title makes me happy because he is a good man. And categorically, and he ends up killing her and then going on another date at the same spot and having almost the same thing. So, spoiler alert, you're probably not going to want to watch that movie. You're probably not going to know what the fuck I'm talking about. But this shit was bonkers. And honestly, you guys, you need to go on Tubi. And real talk, they are not even charging any motherfucking prices. It ain't like no $19.99 for no fucking membership, no fucking scholarship. But you know what I mean? This shit is crazy. Honestly, though, the other two movies are crazy too. Only for a few. The thing about this, so no disrespect, and this one, okay, so this one got A Good Man is a good film. That's a bad film, but it's like, it's pretty wild. No Disrespect is, that one actually got clout on the cigar podcast. It was Your Mom's House, where he was like, it's the scene where he's like, you know what I've been doing for the last 2.5 months? I'm not fucking. Yeah. You know how I've been putting food on the table? He creates this and he really has. He was putting food on the table for the kids. And he has got no time or energy to fuck his actual wife because he's plowing girls for money. Just like fat Asian bitches or whatever who like after he fucks them, they're like, oh, my ducky. They'll go into his arms. That movie was wild too because there was, and what I remember of it, there was the three brothers, and then there was the fucking dad who always comes back from jail. There's always someone coming back from jail and being like, hey, I'm back. It's the same thing with Chaos. He was just like, hey, I'm back. I've been back out 3 months, whatever. And they create this whole I was gone, but I was never there. Bitch, I was in the clinic. What? And so they create this aura, this mood, this presence, and they're just like, bitch, I've always been here. And then all of a sudden they fucking smack the fucking shit out of the mom or punch her in the stomach or whatever. Spoiler alert, none of that happens in any of these. No disrespect, bro. So man, that one was really good too, because you find out at a certain point, he's making ends meet. Let's be real. He's making ends meet in the most literal sense of the term. You know what I mean? And the other thing about, only for my fans, she makes the ends meet in the best, in the best possible way. And it's really inspiring, these are entrepreneurs. We got fucking, what's his face in Only a Good Man, or A Good Man. He is, trying to break this generational racism. He's trying to have a kid, and that's and that's part of the reason why she distrusts him. She's like, you only want me a little baby machine, little fucking, It's and so she in a way, her ghetto ass raises these really good points of roles, and people doing, having motives for oh, you only want me as a fucking status symbol, whatever the fuck. And so they create these little arguments or whatever, and and really specific oh, bitch, you only here for fucking like my pussy, my, you know, like my stud and my glizzy, you know, and like all this fucking weird shit where, real talk, it is just insane, dude. Like, these fucking movies, man. Like, they don't make them like they used to make them. Because the way they used to make them is fucking Basic Instinct, or Fatal Attraction, where it's like a fucking regular ass white dude, and he's like got a fucking boring ass wife and a boring kid, and all of a sudden Glenn Close, like naughty, like fucking Cutlass, fucking, oh, you know, like fucking the boo box lady from Hook is all of a sudden in a fucking Italian restaurant with him in the afternoon, where all the waiters know, you know, people like Michael Douglas go to fuck their side hoes or whatever the fuck. And so he's up there with the boo box girl from Hook, and all of a sudden he's like, my wife's out of town, and I just like, I'm not happy. And then all of a sudden, she gets all fucking crazy because he gives her the best day of his life and her life, whatever. And that's why Fatal Attraction was real, and it was so like. And then she does this like, why don't you hit me shit? Like, you know, she does this crazy shit that I don't know where I heard that from. But like, you know, people learn this shit, and it's like this really like, you know, like going into people's lives and just being like, well, you chose to fuck me, so now I'm going to tell your wife and ruin your child, you know, and kill, you know, take your child away. All this crazy, and like, I'm just like, damn, dude, like, just because fucking, you know, and like I bring it back to, no disrespect, he says, good dick is hard to find. And I'll bring that back to the Michael Douglas shit, where Michael Douglas is just providing good dick to these bitches. Sharon Stone, let's be real. She wasn't fucking, you know, rubbing her pussy in front of Newman. She was doing it for Michael Douglas. You know, it's all good. She wasn't offering the cigarette to Newman, where he's like in Seinfeld, he's like, can I have a sip? And Jerry's like, he's like, no. Seinfeld. Jerry does that like, no. He shakes the cane like an asshole. That's some great shit. Like fucking, I was watching this shit today, like the parodies of those shitty ass movies. So yeah, Basic Instinct is fucking pretty shitty too, but it was like, it's weird when, you know, you're like, oh, this is bullshit, but made for a mass audience. It's Paul Verhoeven, you know what I mean? He made Showgirls. You know, his next movie was fucking like the dude from Twin Peaks and Flintstones, like, you know, running a fucking hotel like it's fucking Danny Ocean or something. You know what I mean? Like it made no sense. Like it was all cooked out and shit. Like the 90s was a weird time for movies. You know, you got Paul Verhoeven. I'm currently watching Falling Down with Joel Schumacher from the Batman the movie or whatever he made her. You know, they all made shitty movies, you know. I feel, yeah, Verhoeven made like Total Recall, like fucking, oh, Basic Instinct, man. Don't get me started on that shit. Like that shit was retarded. All amazing, but you know, there's also some fucking fluff in that movie. But you know, like, and you know, there's that whole like, but Sharon Stone's pretty hot. Like, and she was clearly pretty deranged. But they were all kind of like working on some weird levels, because there was like the internal affairs girl who was like also a little crazy. And so it's like, you know, like that's my thing. It's like, you know, I mean, man, there's a theme in all this. It's like, you know, sometimes you gotta fucking, like, sometimes your ex be the fucking crazy one that you just like, that changes your life, like for good or bad, you know? Just like in The Good Man, that's what he said. You know what? And so that is, yeah, DeadAss NoCap, guys. Tubi podcast episode 1. You guys are the best, and we're gonna do this a lot. I gotta watch more of these. I think the next time we'll go into Only for My Fans, and probably No Disrespect a little more, because that one has some good moments too. There's like honestly Only for My Fans, or Only a Few Fans, I think it's what it's called. Only in My Fans. It's like Ariel Pink. But no, Only a Few Fans is pretty crazy too, because it's like a guy who's like, okay girl, you can do OnlyFans just for a little bit, just to help pay the bills, because you know, I'm working on this fucking styrofoam, you know, plastic cup factory. Like it just ain't making ends meet, man. And just like, you know, if you could just like show your pussy and your tits online for a little bit, we'll be rolling in the dollars. So, you know, it's like, and it starts off like that, and then it gets creepy, you know. So, yeah, Tubi's the way to be. You guys, I love y'all. But yeah, that was episode 1, and peace out. But we will talk to you soon.